Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're your shortcut to understanding what really matters, without you getting lost in all the information overload. Today we're plunging into a work that, honestly, reshaped how millions think about their lives. Stephen R. Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Now, this came out way back in 1989, but it's way more than just a bestseller, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. It's become like a foundational blueprint for personal development, leadership, really just being a more effective human being.
And Covey's core idea, it seems simple on the surface, right? That real effectiveness isn't about quick fixes.
No, not at all. It's about your character, aligning it with these timeless principles. Things like integrity, responsibility, basic human dignity.
So get ready, because we're going to dig into the key insights, maybe some surprising bits, and those real aha moments that kept this book so relevant for, wow, decades now.
And, this deep dive, it's valuable because it's so much more than just like a productivity hack. What makes Covey's work really stand out is this principle-centered approach to effectiveness. It's a framework that works just as well in your personal life as it does professionally. If you sort of step back, the book lays out this clear path for growth. You start out dependent, maybe relying too much on others or circumstances.
We're back kind of at the mercy of things.
Exactly. Then you move toward independence, which is all about mastering yourself, taking control. And then the final stage, interdependence. That's the highest level where you can work really, really effectively with other people and keep growing. It's a whole journey.
Okay, let's unpack that journey then.
Yeah.
Let's walk through the habits themselves. You can think of these 7 habits as this pathway guiding you from that initial dependence through self-mastery and then into mastering how you work with others. So first stop, habit 1, be proactive. This feels like the bedrock, doesn't it?
It really is.
Covey's famous quote here, I am not a product of my circumstances. I am a product of my decisions. That's powerful stuff.
It is. And it's not just take initiative, it's deeper.
How so?
Well, Covey talks about that space between what happens to you, the stimulus, and how you respond. Proactivity is about recognizing you have the freedom to choose your response in that space.
So it's about conscious choice, even when things feel chaotic. That's what he means by responsibility, right? The ability to choose your response.
Precisely. It's about taking back your personal power, moving from being passive to being the architect of your life.
That distinction between reactive and proactive people seems key.
Right.
Reactive people blame everything outside themselves.
Yeah, their language is full of, I can't, if only they made me, you know the type. Proactive people, though, they act intentionally. They focus their energy
On what they can control.
Exactly. On their circle of influence. Things like their attitude, their effort, their choices. They don't waste energy spinning their wheels in the circle of concern, things they can't control, like, the economy or what other people think.
That reframing is a real game changer. Okay, so you've become proactive, you're choosing your responses. Where do you direct that energy?
Well, that leads us right into habit 2. Begin with the end in mind.
Right. Start with a clear destination. Know where you're going.
It's about defining your personal vision, your core values, what really matters to you.
And he talks about writing a personal mission statement, doesn't he? Actually writing it down.
He does. It makes it concrete. This habit is all about living intentionally, not just drifting along, reacting to things. The practice here involves really visualizing the legacy you want to leave. Like, what do you want people to say about you at your funeral? It sounds a bit morbid, maybe.
A little, yeah, but it focuses the mind.
It does. It forces you to think about what truly matters in the long run. Then you align your daily actions, your choices, with that ultimate purpose. You're deliberately designing your life.
Okay, vision established, blueprint drawn, but a plan's no good without action, right? How do you actually build it day to day?
That brings us to habit 3. Put first things first.
The main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. I love that phrase.
Me too. It's catchy, but it's profound. This is where the rubber meets the road, practical time and priority management, making sure you actually do what matters most.
But it's easy to get caught up in urgent stuff, isn't it? The emails, the phone calls.
Oh, definitely. That's the trap. Covey's big insight here is focusing on quadrant 2 activities.
Quadrant 2, explain that.
Okay, so imagine a grid. Urgent not, urgent on one axis, important not, important on the other. Quadrant URD is urgent and important crises, deadlines. We spend a lot of time there.
Makes sense.
Quadrant 3 is urgent, but not important interruptions, some meetings, other people's minor issues. Quadrant 4 is not urgent, not important time wasters. But quadrant 3, that's the gold mine. It's important, but not urgent.
So things like long-term planning, Relationship building, learning, exercise.
Exactly. The things that build capacity, prevent future crises, and align with your mission. But because they aren't screaming for attention right now, they often get pushed aside.
So habit 3 is about the discipline to prioritize quadrant 2, to say no to less important things.
It requires discipline, it requires planning, often weekly planning, to consciously schedule those important, non-urgent activities, balancing all your roles, parent, employee, friend, self, and making sure the truly important things get done.
Okay, so these first 3 habits, proactive, end in mind, first things first, that's all about mastering yourself.
Yeah,
Getting your own act together. Covey calls this independence.
that's right. Private victory first.
But then there's a shift, isn't there? The next habits move outward.
Correct. We move from independence into interdependence, learning to work effectively with others. This is where collaboration and deeper connection happens.
So let's dive into habit 4. Think win-win. This isn't just about negotiation, is it?
No, it's much bigger. It's a whole philosophy for how you interact with people. It's about seeking mutual benefit in absolutely every interaction.
The idea that it's not me versus you, but us.
Exactly. It's not you or me, it's you and me. It's about building relationships based on trust. And it stems from what Covey calls an abundance mentality.
Abundance mentality.
Okay, as opposed to scarcity mentality. The belief that there's only so much pie to go around, so if you get a bigger slice, I get less. Competition rules.
Right, I see that a lot.
But an abundance mentality believes there's plenty for everyone. Success isn't zero-sum. When you genuinely seek solutions where everyone benefits, you unlock creativity and build much stronger, more generative relationships.
So how do you achieve that balance?
Covey says maturity here is about balancing. Courage, standing up for your needs and beliefs with consideration, genuinely valuing and respecting the other person's needs and perspective. Courage plus consideration equals win-win.
That balance sounds crucial. And it seems to lead directly into the next habit, habit 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood.
It really does. They're deeply connected.
Covey's line here hits hard. Most people listen with the intent to reply, not to understand. Ouch. It really highlights the need for empathetic listening.
It's so true, though, and it's incredibly hard to do in practice.
What's the biggest mistake people make with this one?
Just what Covey says. Listening to reply. We're formulating our argument, our advice, our story while the other person is still talking. We filter everything through our own experience.
Instead of
Truly trying to get inside their head, to understand their perspective, their feelings, their needs from their point of view without judgment. Empathetic listening isn't about agreeing, it's about deeply understanding.
like doctor diagnosing before prescribing.
Exactly that analogy. You have to understand the situation fully before you can offer a helpful response. This deep listening builds incredible trust and opens the door for you to then be understood and to actually influence the situation positively.
Okay, so you've achieved win-win thinking. You're listening empathetically. What comes next?
Habit 6. Synergize.
Synergy. Sounds a bit corporate buzzwordy sometimes, but Covey means something specific, right?
He does. It's not just cooperation or teamwork. It's the idea that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. It's our way being better than just my way or your way.
So 1 + 1 = 3 or 10 or 100.
Precisely. It's about valuing differences, really celebrating diverse perspectives, ideas, backgrounds. When you bring different viewpoints together respectfully, you can create solutions that no single person could have thought of alone.
It requires vulnerability, though, doesn't it? And trust.
Absolutely. It builds on habits 4 and 5. You need that win-win attitude and the ability to truly understand others to get to real synergy. It often involves respectful conflict, creative tension, but the outcome is something new, something innovative. True teamwork fuels creativity.
Okay, that covers the interpersonal habits.
Yes.
What's the final one?
The final habit kind of loops back and sustains all the others. It's habit 7. Sharpen the saw.
Ah, yes, the woodcutter story. We must never become too busy sawing to take time to sharpen the saw.
It's a great metaphor, isn't it? It's all about continuous self-renewal, taking care of your greatest asset, which is you.
To avoid burnout and stay effective long term.
Exactly. Covey breaks it down into 4 key dimensions you need to renew regularly.
Which are?
There's the physical, exercise, nutrition, rest, managing stress. The mental,
Yeah.
reading, learning, writing, planning, visualizing.
Okay.
Then the social emotional, building relationships, service, empathy, synergy itself. And finally, the spiritual, clarifying values, meditation, spending time in nature, connecting to your purpose.
4 dimensions. It sounds like a lot to keep balanced.
It can be, but neglecting any one area eventually impacts all the others. consistent renewal is what makes sustainable growth possible. It prevents you from just running out of steam.
Which area do you think people most often neglect when they get busy?
Oh, that's a tough one. I suspect for many, it might be the physical sacrificing sleep or exercise, or maybe the spiritual, losing touch with deeper values amidst the daily grind. What do you think?
Yeah, I could see that. Or maybe the social emotional, getting so task-focused we forget to nurture relationships, make those deposits, as Covey calls them.
The emotional bank account. Good point.
Which brings us to some of the bigger ideas woven through the book, beyond just the habits. That emotional bank account concept is brilliant. The idea that you build trust in relationships through small, consistent acts of kindness, respect, keeping promises.
It really resonates. And you make withdrawals, too, through disrespect or breaking trust.
Another big one for me was the character ethic versus personality ethic.
Yes. That's fundamental to Covey's whole argument.
The idea that lasting success comes from your core character, integrity, humility, fidelity, not just surface-level personality traits, communication techniques, or, quick fixes.
Absolutely. The personality ethic might bring short-term wins, but the character ethic builds enduring trust and effectiveness. It's about who you are, fundamentally.
And that ties into another key concept you mentioned earlier, the inside-out approach.
Right. You have to start with yourself. Inner change precedes outer change. You work on your character, your habits, your paradigms first, before trying to change your circumstances or influence others effectively.
Paradigm shift. That's another big Covey term. Changing your perception changes everything.
It really does. How you see the problem is the problem often. Shifting your mental map, your paradigm, can unlock completely new ways of thinking and acting.
So when you pull it all together, why does this book still matter so much decades later?
Well, I think it's because it offers this holistic, principle-centered strategy for life. It's not just business, not just personal life. It applies everywhere. Parenting, leadership, self-management. It builds this foundation of trust, responsibility, integrity. Things that are, frankly, timeless. It's about sustainable, long-term growth, not just shortcuts or fads.
Absolutely. And some of those quotes just stick with you, don't they? Like, live out of your imagination, not your history.
Powerful. Or, to change ourselves effectively, we first had to change our perceptions. That really captures the paradigm shift idea.
Wow. Okay, what an incredible journey through these habits. It really feels like this deep dive has given us, and hopefully you listening, a really powerful framework for being more effective in every part of life.
Definitely. And I think the key takeaway is that enduring value. Covey's work emphasizes sustainable long-term growth rooted in these solid principles, rather than just chasing the next quick fix. It's about building something that lasts.
So, as you reflect on all this, here's a thought to maybe chew on, inspired by the book. What if you started treating yourself and the people around you not just as they are right now, but as they could be, as they have the potential to be? What new possibilities might open up then?
That's a fantastic question. And maybe just consider picking one habit. Just one. Think about how consistently applying even that single habit could start to shift things for you, change your experiences, your outcomes. It's an invitation, really, to explore how these principles could unlock your potential.